That's important. That's not it. Where he doesn't want to, he pledged the budget to do it, and he wants a top end. Yeah, I know, so it's why it's it, and so, yeah. Okay, then, my second. I told him how come.
Okay, so here's our tshuva that we'll spend a few minutes on today. Ha'im mutar li lahadbik modaot mischariot b'cheder madrigot. There's a stairwell, and I just want to walk into, nearby apartment buildings and put up stickers on the wall and advertisements. And of course, they have to, the building maintenance is going to have to clean off the stickers at some point. Oh, and apparently everybody in Israel does this. They put stickers everywhere. You've seen this, right? You've seen it everywhere in Israel. Oh, and then you have Israelis that come here and they do it here. Oh, sheyesh bozeh iser gozel. Or is there a prohibition of stealing if I do that? Okay, so let's look at the tshuva. Asur la'adam lahazik mamon chavero. It is forbidden to cause damage to your friend's property. Just like you're not allowed to steal his money. Stealing his or damaging his property is the same thing. So not only included in Gezel, but it's love your neighbor as yourself. And therefore, it's even if you plan on damaging your friend's property and then later paying for it, it's going to be usur because, as the Gemara says, that which is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. So you haven't alleviated the biblical prohibition just because you're willing to pay him for the damage. Who wants to go through that process? And if a person does end up damaging someone's property, he has to pay, even if he derived no benefit from that damage. Okay, so, he's quoting the Sma is quoting the Shulchan Aruch. The Hitchil Shulchan Aruch be'isser v'siyum b'chiyav tashlumin. So the Shulchan Aruch interestingly says you're not allowed to damage your friend's property, and if you did damage your friend's property, regardless of whether you benefited or not, you have to pay. And so what does that tell me? It starts off with telling me what's usur, and then it tells me what the consequences are if I do damage. Lamdenu detarti isbe. This teaches me that there are actually two aspects to the prohibition. That meaning that even if you're willing to pay him back for whatever damage you cause, it's still usur. In other words, like I can't say, you know what, I'm going to swing some golf balls towards your house. I'm sure it'll be fine. And if I cause any damage, I'm happy to pay for it, right? You're not allowed to do that. He says it's still usur, just like it's usur to steal, even if you plan to give it back. And the second is that if you end up damaging someone's property, then there's the consequence of payment, even if you derive no benefit and even if it was done unintentionally. Okay. Okay. And that's true even if it's onus, the Shulchan Aruch writes. Now, as far as this issue, it is obvious that you're not allowed to put up stickers on your friend's wall without his permission. And that's certainly true in the stairwell of an apartment building where this causes damage to the paint and it gets the walls dirty. ואפילו בקירות חיצוניים שדרך בני אדם להקפיד עליהם שיהיו נקיים, and asur lahadbik shamadot. I think there's a typo here. Even in the external walls, where people don't normally mind that they be so clean, it is still asur to stick on, to put up advertising stickers. And he quotes the Pischei Choshen, Rav Bloy, who says the same thing. Sheyesh bazech shash gezel, keven shahadayarim makpidim sherechusham yinaki. He says, because the tenants of that building want their building to be clean, respectable looking, and not posted with all of these kinds of things. V'chein herich bazeh b'shut vayitzbar Yosef, ayin sham v'ayin b'sefer tuvcha yabiu, a whole bunch of different shuvas that discuss the same issue. V'hu adin, sha'asr lahadbik et hamodaot shelo al hamodaot shel mishu acher. Now, what about the following? Can I put up my sticker on top of somebody else's sticker? He's the one who caused the initial damage. So maybe all I'm doing is it's like I'm not even attached to the wall. Yeah, right. In other words, I see an ad that was there. It was the event was happening 6 months ago. So maybe you could say I'm actually doing a favor. Like I'm freshening up the place, right? Okay. Oshamashchis modo shel chavero v'yesh lo din mazik. He says, why is that? Shehu gorim lo bazen nezek oshamashchis modo shel chavero v'yesh lo din mazik. Because then you're destroying the advertisement of somebody else. Ele imkein over zman savir she'azmut lahadbik et hamodot shel hamodot shel chavero. But he says, if a significant amount of time has elapsed and it's an old ad, and you can assume that the person who put up the original ad doesn't mind that his ad is now being covered, like because the example I gave, it was, let's say it was a concert and the concert already took place, because it makes no sense to say that the original poster, the original guy who was posting this ad, would have permanent rights to have his information posted, right? Let's say it's a sale item or it's just some announcement, right, that has a shelf life, then you would be allowed to put your thing on top of his. But basically what that means is that we have to take into account, you're not allowed to steal from a ganav, right? So just because that guy may have posted his bill without permission doesn't give you a right to destroy his poster by putting up your poster on top of his. But he says, I will make an allowance if that old poster the event has already elapsed and he doesn't need that ad up anymore, then he does give an allowance for putting up on top of his.
One of the lions, they always post.
Yeah.
So every week they're, I guess, on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a stone wall in Mea Sharm where, you know the Shiftei Yisrael, that street, where that's like the designated place for posting bills, right? But you have to know if there's a designated place for posting bills versus, in a private apartment building or versus any building that is privately owned. So, okay. And then then the footnote, he writes, he quotes a sefer, Emek HaMishpat, who says, Legabe hadvakat modaot birshut harabim, she'ein hayom seder mesuyam, again, another typo, eich linhog bazeh. He says, this sefer writes, there is not any kind of a fixed convention as far as what people do. The ish kol hayashar be'einav yasa. Everyone does whatever they think they want to do. Like people today will post bills wherever they feel they can get the best publicity. And therefore, he says, since there is in the public square, there is no law and there's no enforcement. If there is such a law, there's no enforcement of the law. Yesh lomar demuter lahadbik modos al shem acherim Kaven shemi shehid bikshamet moda otav asaken al dat sheyitochen sheyadbiku al moda shelo afilu miyad. So it could be that you could, if it's in a public area, someone else's ad, it could be you would be allowed to immediately put your sticker on top of theirs, your sticker poster on top of theirs, because there's no convention. In other words, once something is posted in a public area, you don't have to be concerned about his rights, because the bottom line is that there's a certain level of lawlessness when it comes to posting bills in most public areas, at least in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, I don't think that would be true over here. There probably is a city ordinance. Is there a city ordinance? There's bylaws that you can't post bills.
See stickers all over the place. Yeah. Households, language.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are, I mean, basically you see signs that have been up for years all around the neighborhood. So they only enforce that, they're not going to enforce something small, right?
The city actually charges, like, you see those signs that are on those mobile aisle ones that are on wheels.
Yeah,
They charge a fee for that. To put it on their land.
to put it on the lawn, yeah.
Yeah, but the people are gonna stick the stickers on the lamp post or the light poles, like the traffic lights.
Yeah.
They're up there forever.
I know that we charge if someone wants to put those mobile things on our lawn. Yeah. Once in a while, we had recently someone just put up their ad without asking permission. And yeah, and no one knew about, I mean, no one bothered to ask about it. And they got away with it until, and we did our flag ceremony. And that's when we figured out, hey, they're not supposed to be there. No one asked permission.
What was the ad?
The Simchas Beis HaShoeva coming up. Because they just wanted to get, they wanted to get away with posting it for free. Obviously they paid the sign company, the mobile sign company, but they didn't think to, they didn't want to have to pay. I have no idea. Okay.